All right, hello. I just wanted to take a quick moment to welcome you to your 14th learning module for the semester. It's crazy to think that we are in that final stretch. This is your last learning module worth of new content, if you will. And so this will be the final food issue that we will explore collectively as a class. And then these 2 weeks after this, week 15, you'll work on your rough draft poster and start thinking through your presentation. And then that final week, week 16, you'll be submitting that final poster and then either signing up for a specific presentation time or opting to do something like this where you do your presentation electronically, if you will, and then you'll submit that as a file for me to view as I'm going through and grading your final signature assignment. So this is it, folks. This is the final module food issue that we will be discussing. And then you'll focus on your signature assignment. So this, within this module, we will be talking about the Western diet. And the Western diet collectively is really what we eat here in the United States, right? So most commonly, lots of processed foods, lots of fat, sugar, salt, those sorts of things. So I like to end the semester with this because it really is kind of that all-encompassing, I'm aware of all of these food issues. Now, how do I make a conscious decision as a consumer in terms of what to eat, right? So if we know that we make over 200 food decisions on a daily basis, consciously or subconsciously, I always make the joke, the question, what's for dinner, is super, super complicated in my mind because there's so many aspects to that, right? Is what I'm feeding my kids healthy? Do I have the materials that I need to make what's for dinner tonight? Do I have the time that I need in order to make what's for dinner tonight, right? Like just that question that seems so simple when it comes out of my kids and my husband's mouth is actually very, very complex for me. And I have a lot of food thoughts associated with that. And I'm sure a lot of you have similar experiences, right? Where it might be like, where am I going to stop for lunch today? When I'm looking at the menu, what am I going to order? Am I going to split something? Am I going to eat the whole thing? Am I going to take this home and save it for later, right? Like, how was this meat grown? How was it raised? How was it slaughtered? Where was it raised? Like, there's all sorts of conscious and subconscious thoughts that we have associated with our food. And it's super complex, right? As we've learned throughout the semester, there are a lot of issues associated with the food that arrives on our plate. And so I think this documentary, In Defense of Food, Michael Pollan, he's written several books. In Defense of Food is probably one of my favorite ones that Michael Pollan wrote. He also wrote The Omnivore's Dilemma, which I teach in another one of my courses, my CWI 101 You Are What You Eat class. And he really does a great job just kind of wrapping it all up, right? So talking about the history of how we've arrived where we've arrived, especially with certain foods like bread, butter, those sorts of things, margarine. And then kind of really giving us some food rules, if you will. So some things that if we could just maybe get back to some simplicity, thinking about food that eventually rots, thinking about how different cultures eat and how our culture eats. He does a really good job of really kind of saying the answer isn't a specific diet, right? And I think as consumers, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the silver bullet, like someone tell me exactly what to eat, when to eat it. And we're not really talking about lifestyle changes, and we're leaving that food culture component out of it. And so I appreciate what he does in this. So you're going to view that documentary. That documentary is almost 2 hours, which is why your list probably looks a little bit short this week, because you are spending the bulk of your time watching that. You'll also go out to this USDA website and you can complete this My Plate quiz. It's up to you whether or not you really like this or not like this. I've tried to maintain kind of unbiased opinions in terms of the things that I post for you to view. But you do want to go out and complete that quiz. It might take you 5 to 10 minutes. So it's pretty short, and then just kind of gives you a where you're at in terms of the foods that you're consuming. And then there's a lot of additional resources on that page for you to go out and view. And then this website I think is super cool. So if you go out to the National Geographic What the World Eats, you can go in and look at the last 50 years. You can view it in grams, you can view it in calories, you can break it down by the world specifically, you can look at the United States specifically and what we're consuming. So I think this does a really good job of kind of breaking down in general what the world is consuming, especially when we talk about this idea of the Western diet. You have a quiz associated with that in defense of food, and then you have your discussion board for this week along with your current events. So with that, I will wrap it up. I try to keep these pretty brief just so you have a high-level summary. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please reach out, especially as we're moving into these final 2 weeks with your signature assignment. So you want to make sure you're choosing a topic, you're starting to think through some of those sources that you're going to use, and then you're also starting to put together some materials. And if you have questions, please don't hesitate to email me. I really am happy to help. So I hope you all have a fantastic week. I don't know about the rest of you, but I've been super, super grateful for the rain lately. As we've talked about in weeks prior, there is obviously a risk of drought again this year. And so it is exciting to see that we are still accumulating some moisture, albeit probably not enough, but at least it's something. So have a fantastic week.